Good morning, everybody. Welcome along. This is the Benjamin Bloom Show. We are live, and it is the Championship preview. Probably going to be the hardest Championship preview we'll do all season. It's hard at the best of the times predicting this, but we are back after 3 months off. I remember waking up on March the 13th with a ticket for Fulham versus Brentford, and then we were coming back on April the 3rd, and then it was May the 16th, and here we are deep into June. But Championship football is back. If you're watching, we're going to do some predictions. Look, we may as well throw some sand up and see which way the wind is blowing it today. But we'll do our very best, let's just say. So do get involved in the comments. We'll go through each game one by one. But I'm going to say this caveat now massively. Who knows how this big pause, the fitness, the training going slowly is going to affect every different team. We do not know. We know the personalities of these teams. We know the characters of the managers. We know the players, but we are into the unknown with the huge pause. Right, we're going to work down as ever. We'll go through all 12 of this round of fixtures. It is game week 38, 9 games to go in the Championship. Lots to play for down the bottom. There are scenarios at the top where things could get very much sorted very quickly. The way the fixtures go, if results go in a certain way. But we all know the Championship. I'm sure someone will try and Devon lock and trip themselves up right near the end. Let's start at the very, very top. I'll come to comments in just a jiffy. With Cardiff versus Leeds, this game will be on Sunday. As you can see, Cardiff in 9th. They are only 2 points off the playoffs, which isn't too bad, really, is it? When you consider they haven't really played well all season. They've changed manager. They haven't been very steady in their performances. Only 9 defeats, however, very, very draw heavy. Remember, you're in between a Neil Warnock era and a Neil Harris era, and some change, but not really any rejigging of the squad in the January transfer window. Needless to say, I know Leeds fans don't like going to Cardiff, and it's a difficult one. But Leeds, top of the table. Look at that recent form on there. Draw, win, 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 win. And I saw one of those. Maybe it was the last one at Hull, where they were absolutely imperious. I believe they haven't conceded any goals. So if we are using the previous form as some kind of guide, then Leeds were on fire going into this. Really tough to say in terms of strategies for most of the teams, but we know exactly what Bielsa will do, don't we? We know we're going to see a 4-1-4-1. We know we'll see Bamford at the top of it and Phillips at the base of it. Who knows in terms of the rest of the structure of the team? Often you don't know where Stuart Dallas is going to end up playing. But Bielsa, from a standing start, has always been very, very strong. So you would expect Leeds to be right back at it. What I will say is we've talked about pace and intensity of games. And if there is, well, 1 or 2 teams I can name that would like the pace to be nice and slow with no intensity from the crowd, that would be Cardiff. Lots of stops and restarts, and, the ball out of play a lot has been the hallmark of Cardiff in the last couple of times they've been in the Championship. Let's see if we've got any predictions in the comment. We've got a 1-1 there from Hip to the Game. We'll say hi to Aussie Villain. Always good to talk to people across the pond. Harry says, "We're back, baby." There we go. Elliot says, "Why didn't you have crowd noise in the background on your videos?" Because the window's shut, because there's a stupid model flying club over there flying their planes about anytime it's sunny. Shocking. We had a 1-1. We had another 1-1 there from Harry. Indeed, Luke. Leeds even fitter than before. They've always restarted well, Leeds, haven't they, with their fitness? But close game, Leeds to show their fitness and win 2-0. Mally agrees entirely. A Bamford brace. There we go. Lions 4-3-2-2 says Leeds 4-0. He's got Lions in there, so it would be in Millwall's interest in that playoff chase for Cardiff to drop some points. Lions does say Pablo is out. Remember, that can affect Leeds quite badly sometimes. He tends to dictate the play there. Hi from New Zealand to Steve down in the Southern Hemisphere as well. Looking forward to some live football. Hoping Derby can win away at Millwall, closing in a playoff place. Max Power, not that one, I take it. Leeds fast out of the gate, 3-1 win. And I think, Luke, we already put that up there, did we? Mally does say, smash that like. Everyone, hit the like button. Let more people in the chat. A few for a draw there. There's Elliot with a 0-0 and Matt with a 1-1. So remember, that is the Sunday game. I will be covering that one tomorrow. Like Fulham and Brentford today, I'll be on just before, at halftime, and just afterwards. So if you maybe would rather listen to me than Don Goodman or Andy Hinchcliffe, Andy Hinchcliffe's actually pretty good, isn't he? Then come and join us and get involved in the chat over half time. Game number 2 is a nice juicy one as well, isn't it? Baggies versus Blues in what we call it, a West Midlands derby. West Brom second, 1 point off Leeds. Again, I've spoken to a lot of West Brom and Leeds fans about this. They don't really care who's first or who's second, do they? Not until the last 2 weekends of the season. It's all about that gap between second and third. So get your predictions in down the side here for Baggies versus Blues. Remember, we do have a big story in the background with Pep Clotet. He is going to be finishing at the end of the season. We have seen a lot of the time the dead man walking manager does not work. It really is a struggle. Birmingham already looking. They've spoken to Nigel Clough. Apparently, they're interested in Lee Bowyer. Apparently, Trillian wants promotion experience, and Karanka's out there, and Bruce might be out there, and McCarthy's out there. So there we go. West Brom, I've always said that the recruitment's been very good. Bilic has been very good in game. They've not blown me away any time I've seen them, although I did see them on the telly absolutely demolish Swansea, which I did think was a very impressive performance. Let me know if the light's annoying there. I'm struggling with it a little bit today. I suspect that this will not end well for Blues. I just think West Brom will be able to create enough chance. It'll be interesting to see. BBC have published no team news for any of this. I think they're just going to wait a couple of games and see how we go. But I don't know how the health of Dean Garner is. But if there's a position where you're anything like Dean Garner, Pereira, Phillips, and then it's been Robson, Carney, but there's Zahora and Austin, I would think Blues would struggle to keep that out. So it looks very much in West Brom's favour here. Although Elliot says Birmingham to bring a surprise. Steve says the exact opposite. West Brom 2-0. Harry says 3-1 West Brom. Elliot, that's a good point. I haven't mentioned Scott Hogan will play out of his skin to save his career. He's been playing out of his skin most of the time for Blues, hasn't he? 1-1, says Mally. Derbies can go either way. I agree with that. Luke, 1-0. Aussie Villain. Where's your? If you're a Villa fan, you want both teams to lose in this one, don't you? So he says 3-0 Baggies, and Captain Nat says 2-0 West Brom. So at the moment, a lot of, as always with the top two, it's hard to predict them losing. They're the best two teams in the division. The table tells us that. So a lot of predictions there for a West Brom victory. Here's the big one, though. I'll be doing this game at about 12:15, which is not very long away. I've still got to go for a run in between. I'm probably going to look like absolute mess in between. Get your predictions in. Fulham, Brentford, third versus fourth. Really big game here. And look at the form. Drawn, lost, drawn, 1-1, drawn for Fulham. I suppose that's very decent over the last 3 games. But Brentford, drawn, lost, drawn, 1. Very interesting matchup, this one. I'll talk more in the preview. about how we expect these two teams to look. But moreover, if you are the top two, very significant game, because I mean, in terms of damaging both teams, you would want a draw. In terms of that gap, though, if I'm a Leeds fan, I'm behind Brentford all the way on this, because Leeds could possibly, by the end of the weekend, have opened up a 10-point gap with 8 games to go. Although their goal differences are good, aren't they? So the goal difference is not much in it. But 10 points with 8 to go should be a really good game as well. Both teams good on the ball. We've really enjoyed, I always talk about Ben Rama, but we've enjoyed Mbeumo and Watkins as well. Mitrovic in this division is a cheat code, isn't he? So should be a tight one, you would think. Let's have a look at some predictions. Steve is going for a draw. Mark, I don't want to see another damp squib 0-0, although Southampton banged some goals in for me on the channel last night. 4-0, Elliot says. We're ready for this. Get your money on that, Elliot. You'll clean up if it is 4-0. Luke says 2-1 Brentford and virtual scenes in Leeds. Absolutely scenes. Matt, am I doing any 3 p.m. games? I don't know. I think I might have to, not have to, because obviously it's a great delight to, but I think I'll be hanging out with the missus after the first game. I might be able to get back for a second. I will be doing the Leeds game tomorrow. Difficult for me to do 2 in a row. And also, the end of the Brentford coverage will get close to overlapping the next load. I know a lot of people wanted me to do West Brom and Blues. We'll see how we go. 2-1, Fulham says hit the game. Tim, I hope that's the case. 3-2, Fulham, be a good one. There, 1-1 draw or a Bees win. Got my Leeds hat on. Ben there says 1-1. Harry says 2-2. We think it's going to be goals. Colm is a Fulham fan, so we will give him this one. Any score from 0-0 to 5-5? Yeah, okay, covering your bases there. William says 2-1 Brentford. Trevor, who we know is a Fulham fan on the channel, says 3-1 to Fulham. Let's move on to the next one. Some really, really good matchups. Sabri Lamouchi has signed a new contract, which is very good news for Forest if he continues to do as excellent a job as he's done this year. I was having a debate on a Fulham podcast, Cottage Street. You can check that out on Facebook. Just click on the link to watch me on there. Well, you don't have to, because I'm going to tell you exactly what I said. But we had a debate as to whether Lamouchi having Forest 5th is actually a bigger achievement than, say, Parker having Fulham 3rd. It possibly is, given how they've been and how consistent he's made them. Get your predictions in here. Wednesday have been an absolute free-fall, haven't they? And there's a big worry about FFP for Wednesday. If they're found guilty, they're 48 points. Charlton 9 points behind. So although we did see a very interesting deduction of just 2 points for Macclesfield yesterday. Look, I know the EFL are damned if they do and damned if they don't here. But Macclesfield not relegated because only 2 points deducted. I was expecting to be 7. Shows how much I know about what the EFL are going to do. Look, Forest, very tight, very good away from home, very good without the ball. Should be able to mentally cope with this, because they're probably best team shape in the league defensively, aren't they, Forest? You would expect this Monk v Lamouchi to be tight, but again, these are going to be absolutely all over the place, these fixtures, aren't they? Matt says, I'm a Forest fan. I'm scared of this one. If Fletcher starts, he'll score because he's a handful. Same with New Year. Remember the return one of this. Wednesday were on fire, weren't they? 3-4-0, wasn't it? Before 4-0 before half time. John sticking his neck out here. All the top 3 to lose this weekend. By God. Hit to the game. Wednesday 1, Forest 0. Elliot says 0-0. Boring Forest. Wednesday will benefit from not having moaning fans. That's terrible, Elliot. Deary me. Steve thinks an away win for Forest. Nat, he's got the caveat of the Wednesday badge in his bio. 2-1. Oh, 2-1 Forest. Oh, very honest, Nat. I thought you'd have it the other way. Mally says got a draw written all over it, but I think Forest will nick it. William, Forest, grabbing to score. The old grabbing 80th minute classic Forest win here. And we'll have tightened up after losing 5-0. Yes, they did lose their last game 5-0. Ewan 3-0 Wednesday. I think Ewan's a Derby fan, isn't he? Mark has gone for Forest will win, new contract and time to work. Yeah, I think we're all impressed with Lamucci, aren't we? Nat says, despite his Wednesday badge, no confidence there. Who's this? SF. Any Charlton fans in here? Usually we do get some Charlton. We will be coming on to them. Huge game for Charlton. Matt says Jordan Rhodes against Forest is like prime Ronaldo 9. Don't talk to an Ipswich fan about Jordan Rhodes, put it that way. Matt, quickly 2-0 Forest. Luke says 1-1 board draw. Harry says 1-1 draw. I don't know what the difference between a 1-1 board draw and a 1-1 draw is. We will find out later. Let's go on to Luton. I don't know why I said it like that. I sounded an idiot, didn't I? Luton in 23rd, but Nathan Jones is back. Graham Jones left at the start of lockdown. Looked like that was already a done deal the way it played out, didn't it? That he'd agreed to come back and just whenever football started, they were going to announce it. Hey, that's me with my tinfoil hat on, but it looked a lot like it, didn't it? Luton have been very strange recently because, I mean, look at the form. 1-1, lost 1, drawn, 9, 11 points in 6. That's playoff form, not 23rd form over the last 6 games. So the interesting thing about this one is they've gone a little bit away from a Nathan Jones, bomb the fullbacks forward, 2 up front, number 10, rotate midfield, to a Graham Jones, let's be a bit more pragmatic and defensive and not lose 7-0 at Brentford. So it'll be interesting to see whether Nathan Jones takes them back the other way. Remember, they don't have the fullbacks, Stacey and Justin, that Nathan Jones had, but we'll see what his impact here. Preston won, lost, lost, and I suspect those 2 wins would have been at home. I'm sure someone will fact check me and correct me in the comments if I am wrong about that. We have said 2 things about Preston. They're very good at home and they're flat track bullies. So they're playing a team that's 23rd. So there is a chance here. We think that teams like Luton with that home support, and Preston indeed, will they be affected by the lack of intensity in the ground? Who knows? Let's have a look at some of your predictions, but let's just say the fan cutouts, Elliot say, look incredible at Luton. He also adds that they're going to win 2-1. 2-1 Preston. Steve agrees, 2-1 Preston. Luton very leaky at the back all season, but that had altered a little bit. Hips of the game thinks there'll be a draw. John clearly doesn't rate Preston. Says they are a terrible team. His words, not mine. Mally going for Luton in this one, fighting relegation in good form. Will that gap change it? Mark says Preston 3-0. Ellis 2-1 Luton. William agrees 2-1 Luton. This Charlton chap says 2-1 Luton. I think Preston will win rather than that. Quick couple more. 1-0 Preston, says Harry. 2-1 Preston. Preston, I haven't been convinced that they're going to take that top 6 place. Got nothing against them, but they do need to persuade me. I'm sure they don't care whether they persuade little old me or not, but you can kind of see the rest of the playoff teams all staying there, can't you? Whereas Preston, there's some chance that, look at all those teams queuing up behind them, Bristol City, Millwall, Cardiff, Blackburn, etc., can nip in there and take their place. Indeed, let's talk about a really there is a few nice setups here. 10th versus 7th. You've got Blackburn, Bristol City here. Either of these teams could end the day in 6th place. How's that goal difference looking? Not good for Bristol City. Better for Blackburn. Blackburn with a win and a Preston defeat will go into the top 6. Bristol City would need a win because of the goal difference. Blackburn, well, that one, a lot of their points were scored in one amazing run, weren't they, over Christmas? I don't know about Dak because he did his crucial. I don't know how close he is to being back. Also, a phobia as well. Season started, he was going to be gone. We'll have a look and see who trots out. Again, not very sure on team news. Typically, if we look at the stereotype of these two teams, Bristol City could do absolutely anything, i.e. win 4-0 or lose 4-0. Blackburn more likely to be tight and pretty good at home as well, indeed. Let's have a look here. SF says 2-1 Bristol City. Elliot says 3-0 Blackburn. Armstrong will dominate this game. Armstrong has had a good season. Wide on the right for Blackburn. Hipster Game is going for Bristol City. Johnny says strange times indeed, fitness-wise. How different it is compared to the start of the season, considering everyone knows. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. It doesn't feel like a pre-season. Remember, the pre-season is even more confusing because there's new signings who we don't know how teams are going to line up. There's often new managers. Excuse me. I'm thirsty. God, we went to Costa and we went to M&S before today, and there's this very weird little lever thing that brings your drinks down. And I always moan at people when they're ahead of me in the car park and they reach out and they can't reach the machine. I was that guy this morning. They put cones there and I couldn't reach my cup of tea out of Costa. Blackburn by the odd goal, says Harry. Steve's got a 1-1. Nat's got a 2-0. Ben, I totally agree with that. Preston lose and playoffs wide open. I think nail on head there from Ben. Mally says interesting playoff chase. Rico says 3-1 Blackburn. Holt be back. Armstrong a machine at the moment. If you get a player like Armstrong who's that direct and you can just, work on switches of play and getting him one-on-one and just say to him, look, okay, you're going to give the ball away more times than you get by, but just run at the left back every time. So interesting points on Adam Armstrong there. Is he too basic to play at a higher level? Who knows? Been around a long time. Don't know. What age is Armstrong? Someone let me know in the chat quickly. Ross, 1-0 Blackburn. Mark, 1-0 Blackburn. Very mixed there. I think most people, the majority there was behind a home win, wasn't it? Denver's got some info there. Dak is only back training. Holt beat Rothwell and Evans. That's an entire midfield there. All back for Rovers, looking good. Millwall in 8th versus Derby in 12th. Millwall could also be in the top 6 by the end of the day with a win here. Everyone points at Millwall when they talk about a team that has, that's the archetypal hard place to go with noisy supporters and intimidating atmosphere. Everyone, the example is always Millwall, isn't it? Oh, will Millwall struggle without any of their supporters and the big Mill chants going? We'll find out today. So remember, this is Rowett against his old club, obviously 2 clubs ago, but a big change in Derby's philosophy since Rowett was there. Coker will, well, there isn't. I mean, obviously, Koku promotes a little bit more playing through the thirds, but both teams, very strong team shape under, both Derby sides under Rowett and Koku. You could see that they were drilled, and Millwall have benefited a lot from this. I've said many times, Rowett surprised me here with how well he has done at Millwall. This should be quite a tight one, shouldn't it? Derby are down in 12th. God, you look at that. If Derby win this and don't get found guilty of FFP, they really could be right in the playoff mix. And we do see it often in the Championship. A couple of months to go and the playoffs teams all start beating each other and the points per game drops, 1.3, 1.4 sometimes as they chase forward. And anyone who slashes through with 1.8 or 2 points per game for a while starts to look good. Get your thoughts in on this Millwall one. We've had loads, so let me scroll back up. Where's the first Millwall prediction? Sorry, excuse me. Just working. Armstrong's 24, says Rico. Thank you. Harry, let's have one in the chat there. Mill, we're going to miss them at the games. They're one of my favourite chants in the league. Away sides will be dominant this weekend, says Matt. Elliot is behind a Rowett clean sheet. We often are 1-0 Millwall. Remember, Millwall's last game before this was that excellent win at Forest, wasn't it? Let's keep scrolling down. Mally, Millwall 2-0. Steve's got an away win for Derby in there. Joe, Millwall need to start with a win if we're going to have a realistic chance of the playoffs. Predicting a draw will do neither team a favour. Just remember, Gary Rowett is your manager and he loves a draw. 15 draws this season, only 9 defeats though. So exactly the same as Cardiff. Hard to beat, but yes, you do want I agree and I don't agree with you there, Joe, because I do think playoff teams will all beat each other. So there may be some use in drawing against your rivals. But yes, obviously the 3-pointers. Far more use. Kev says Millwall 1, Derby 2. Elliot says Millwall will make the playoffs. Denver's now telling me Armstrong's 23. There we go. Enrico agrees with him. Millwall 3-2 to Derby. That's very high scoring for Koku vs Rowett. But remember, we do have Wayne Rooney and Jed Wallace and Jake Cooper on the set play, so we could get goals. New manager has had time to work, but no crowd. 2-2, says Mark. Loads and loads of predictions on here. Ewan says 2-1. Nat says 1-1. 3-2 Derby. I think Millwall might struggle, says Harry. One more here. Rico says Derby's main goal threats, Rooney and Martin, don't look fit at all. Does Rooney even need to be fit, though, to just stand in the middle of the pitch and just ping balls around like he can? He's been really good fun in the Championship, Rooney, hasn't he? On we go. Borough versus Swansea. Big win for Borough. I was there. Their last game before lockdown was that win down there at Charlton. Huge result for them. 3 defeats before that. But that win, and remember, Borough were having issues down there because Wigan, Luton and Barnsley all started winning at the same time as Hull and Charlton sank down. Swansea, well, their last 6 games kind of sums up a mid-table team, doesn't it? Draw, win, lost, draw. What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 points. So kind of lower mid-table form over the last 6. Remember, Swansea have some very, very capable players, the likes of Ayew and Grimes and Byers and Van der Horn. I don't know what's happening with his contract, whether we'll see him for many more games at Swansea. Borough, well, again, like Blackburn, amazing run over Christmas, but who knows with this one? Long old journey. Hopefully Swansea have done that in 2 parts on the bus yesterday and managed to get a hotel, else that will be a nightmare for them. Let's move on to this one. Hip to game, 0-0. Borough Swansea. William says 2-0. Selena, I missed him out. I loved Selena at Ipswich. She was the most un-Mick McCarthy player possible there. 2-1 Borough, says Nat. 1-1 Elliot. 2-1 Gallagher gets 2. That's a Charlton fan speaking as well, isn't it? Excellent. Gallagher jumping ship mid-season, leaving Charlton in the lurch there. Steve says Borough 2, Swansea 2. Mally says, gotta fancy the Swans chasing the playoffs again. They could be in the top 6, couldn't they, at the end of the day? Let's move on. Who have we got next? Now, this was a ridiculous one. This was 5-3, wasn't it, the last time? Literally 2 of the most open teams in the league, and Warburton and Struber, 2 of the most open managers. Look at Rangers' form. Draw, win, draw, win, draw, win. That's 12 from 6. That is automatic promotion form over the last 6 games from Rangers. They've been such a weird team this year. So good going forward. Eze, Chair, who's the other one? Asai Samuel. Obviously Wells left, but they've still got Hugel there up the top, haven't they? Capable of scoring 2 to 3 goals in any game. Capable of conceding 2 to 3 goals in any game. Rangers. How much more Eze will they see there? Barnsley, as you can see, are also, despite being bottom of the league, you can see the win-win-win run. They have done some good stuff under Struber, and they're suffering from just being so far behind when he took over. I know they play the long game at Barnsley, but you do feel if they'd managed to do that deal, I don't know, 6, 8 games earlier, that they would be in with a much better shout. Barnsley have been making a lot of noises to the EFL about suing if the FFP stuff isn't sorted this season. So, look, high scoring draw. Let's see what the guys say in the chat over this one. 2-1 Barnsley, says hip to the game. Again, QPR, maybe, are they a team that lose out with an empty stadium there? They benefit from that tight little ground, don't they? 4-3 QPR. There we go. 3-0 Warburton will love this game. 4-2, says Harry. Let's hope it is. It'll be lots of fun. 2-0. Steve's predicting a QPR clean sheet. That'd be a rarity, wouldn't it? QPR 1-0. Mark says 4-4. There we go. I think people agree with the maybe relative defensive carefreeness of these two teams. Reading versus Stoke, 14th versus 17th. Reading are in danger, I think, no offence to the team, but psychologically of being in horrible dead rubber land here. I've said all the way along, some teams are going to tank and get either 0, 1 or 2 points over these 9 games. And you've got to look at these dead rubber teams. Reading are 9 points above relegation, with possibly teams expecting to drop below them if they do get points deductions for FFP. They're basically safe already with 9 to go. Lack of intensity at the best of times at the Medeski, but no fans in there. Although Mark Bowen, if he can do one thing, he can set up a team to be solid, can't he? So you just worry about the teams playing lots and lots of dead rubbers. Stoke have been, I haven't done the maths, but I suspect if Stoke had Michael O'Neill all season, would they be around 12th to 14th already? So they would be better, a lot better than they have been. Remember, just awful start under Nathan Jones. Not sure will Michael O'Neill, has he been passed now after his COVID infection? Has he done his 7 days isolation and the new test? Obviously, Steeperman was not there for Norwich yesterday. In terms of form, Reading, look, 3 wins, 3 defeats. You'd take that, wouldn't you? That's your 1.5 points per game. That keeps you probably around the top half, doesn't it? Stoke, good actually. Look, 8 points over the last 4 games. You do that over 6 games, and you're automatic promotion form, aren't you? So let's have a little look here. What you guys think? Reading, Stoke, the 2 most boring teams in the league, says Harry. 1-0 Reading. You can see it being 1-0. 3-0 Stoke. That would be a collapse by Reading, wouldn't it? It says hit to the game. 2-1 Reading. Yeah, you can see 1 goal in it. Can't you? 1-1. 0-0 and some snoozy faces. Stoke, as it pains me to say, a 1-0 win, says Mark. 1-1, says Harry. Draw written all over it. Going for a Reading win, however, though. Rico says, I think it'll come down to how up for it Stoke's midfield against one of the best in the league. Is he talking about Swift? And Ejaria as well, actually. Yeah, do have some good midfield. Got some good players, Reading, actually. But yeah, it always seems to be in the bottom half, bottom 6. Stoke up for it 2-1, says Tom. 1-1, says Joe, and a 0-0. Harvey's got a Stoke base, so he must. 0-0 draw. Always a boring game when we play Reading. O'Neill being on the touchline would be a big boost. So he is going to be back, says Harvey, who we will trust with his Stoke page in the avatar. There, a couple more to go, and a couple of really juicy bottom 6 clashes here. So the first one is Huddersfield, Wigan, and then really the other one is equivalent to Fulham, Brentford, the Hull and Charlton game. But we talk about Huddersfield first. So up and down, haven't they? But these Cowleys will get you a win every 3rd and 4th game, which is kind of all you need down in the relegation zone. Lost, drawn, lost, 1-1, lost. So 7 points from 6. That over a point per game. I always say you're going to finish with 46 plus points if you do that across the season. So over a point per game is good form if you're in the relegation zone. Not anywhere else in the table, but in the relegation zone, that will do you. Hit the thumbs up button, by the way. And also you can support the channel by hitting a super chat to donate money to my cause. Going to be out of work in September, so would love to make at least 1 or 2 days a week of doing this. I can work for not a lot of money, but yeah, give us a little boost. Support on Patreon as well. You can see that scrolling along the bottom there the whole time, no doubt, irritating the watchers. Anyway, what will irritate the watchers is me not talking about Huddersfield and Wigan. Look at Wigan's form. Drawn, 1-1-1, drawn. Wigan have been outstanding recently, haven't they? And, winning at West Brom and just any game that's looked winnable, they've just gone and won. I remember that game at Reading where Kiefer Moore scored the back heel and Jacobs at the end. They've been brilliant, haven't they? And who else had it? QPR had that form. 12 points across the 6 games. Only really Leeds and the teams at the top can match that over the last 6. But are we going to momentum team? You don't know. Morsey very good in midfield for them, very consistent. Robinson fit as well. He's a complete outlier at left back. He's like their best progressive passer, isn't he? So he will help. Let's see what you guys say in the chat. Will Wigan manage to keep that form from before? Steve says 3-1 Huddersfield. Hips the game, going for a Huddersfield win. Harry, an away win for Wigan. 2-0 Huddersfield, says SFA. Carl says 2-0 to Wigan. Nat, 2-1 Huddersfield. Very, very mixed here. Draw from Harry. Goalless draw from Mark. Wigan's defender being linked with us. He's very good, Robinson. I remember they had, he's not Reece James. They had Reece James last year, and that was a joke because he's playing in the Champions League now. That was a Tammy Abraham cheat code, that one, wasn't it? But given Wigan's form and fighting relegation, I'll give it. Wigan are still only 2 points above relegation, despite being brilliant before the lockdown. Take out the home advantage. I think that sways it in favour of Wigan. Low winners have too much pace for Schindler and company. Wigan for the upset, says Max. Are you going to be playing for Wigan today, Max? Huddersfield will lose. Unbiased. Marching on together. There you go. No hatred from the Leeds fan there towards Huddersfield. Nice to see 1-1. Right, let's go on quickly. SFA asks, who do I support? Ipswich Town. We're not going to play until September, so there you go. Huddersfield 2, Wigan 1, says Ross. Right, let's go on to this gargantuan big game down the bottom. They could not have scheduled this any better. So it's 21st versus 22nd. Charlton 39 points, Hull 41. So could be just a huge win for either of these teams today. I was at that Charlton game, Charlton Borough, before the lockdown. Poor result. Borough deserved the win there. We've had all kinds of nonsense happening at both teams now. So not content with, if someone can help me with the Hull players who have decided that they're done and they're not going to play. So not content with letting Krissy and Bowen go. Look, they had to cash in on Bowen once they put the option in for the extra year on his contract. I get that. Krissy was probably a wages thing, wasn't it? But there are 5 players, I believe. I'm sure someone is looking it up now, ready to help us out in the chat, for Hull, who are going to be out of contract on June the 30th. I know that's in 10 days' time, but they are not going to be playing in this one. And I think one of them is Jackson Irvine, who's a good player as well. So Grant McCann really has got his work cut out. Hull have been hopeless since, basically Bowen went, and before in January as well. But they've just been absolutely awful, haven't they? And the results say, that's just the last 6, lost, drawn, and then 4 defeats. But it goes back further than that. I was at Hull versus Leeds, and yeah, Leeds were brilliant, but God, that wasn't pretty viewing. So you'd think that would play into Charlton's favour. Then we get all the Lyle Taylor and what's the name of the right back? Chris Solly, isn't it? All of that stuff. So it's a really, really difficult one to tell. Let me see what you guys are saying in the comments. Charlton's loans from West Brom have returned to Charlton fully fit. Who's that? That's Lecco, and what's the midfielder called as well? SFA says 2-0 Charlton. Steve has gone for the draw, which will help neither team. But I suppose if you guaranteed neither team would lose, it's just such a big game, isn't it? It would be a real dagger if Hull get the win in Charlton's abilities to stay up here. 2-1 Charlton, says Joe. Hull 1-0, says Nat. 0-2 Hull collapse. Is that yes, that is an away win, he's saying, for Charlton there. Hull falling to pieces. They didn't even want to play out. Big Charlton win, says Luke. 3-0. 1-0 Charlton, says Harry. Little Crow says Charlton can't pay people to play for them. Hull dropping like a stone. I'm sure they can find a way to both lose. Yeah, there's big mitigating factors against both clubs here, isn't there? Hull in free fall, Charlton win. Really do not get a good vibe from either club at the moment. I remember there's a takeover as well happening with Charlton, or rather a takeover of East Street Investments, who own the club, basically. We've already read that one, haven't we, Mark? That's gone up. So it's going on for both teams to lose. Hull deserved to lose, says Pete, with transfer suicide. Yeah, could they have held on to those two till the end of the season? I think what they did as well that was particularly suicidal was I think they thought they were safe when they sold Bowen and Krissy. And they would have been if they hadn't scored like 2 points from the next 11 games or something crazy. Huge game. Charlton win against the odds 2-1. Trevor, you're a gentleman. Thank you. A donation from Trevor there. Wonderful. You can do the same if you want to support the channel. Thank you so much, Trevor. Calm's going high, scoring 4-3. Nick, 3-1 to Charlton. Harry agrees. Yeah, whole form shocking after Bowen and Krissy. Pete says 0-0. Right, that is. Have I done every game? I have done every game, haven't I? And it's the first time I've done it with the new technology there. Much more fun doing it this way. Sorry, I'm just going to have to press that to get this to scroll up. So, yes, we can pop that one back up. And sorry about that, procrastinating for 2 seconds there. Right, thank you, everybody. Great live stream. We'll do it this way with the technology every time. Again, caveat to all of these predictions, just the hardest week in the world to predict, isn't it, with the lockdown. As it says at the bottom, you can get ad-free content, support the channel at patreon.com/Benjamin Bloom. Help me on my journey to hopefully bigger things. When I say bigger things, look, I would just love to... I don't need to make a lot of money, I promise. I can still do some piano teaching and stuff from home, but wouldn't my life be wonderful if you guys could help, support and just enough to pay the phone bill and the food bill and all of that. That'd be wonderful. I haven't got my missus to agree to that, but I'm sure she would. But yeah, please do support the channel that way, and you can also do the same with the super chats here as well. Quickly, Nat says, love the new setup. Thank you, Nat. Great to have you back. We need some Wednesday fans in here. Big club underachieving a little bit at the moment. Pete asked, am I doing a watch along on the Fulham game? Are you talking Leeds Fulham? Or are you talking the Fulham game? I'm not going to do watch alongs, guys, because I want to give you high quality analysis. And I know what I'm like if I'm concentrating on this. Then I won't. But what I am doing is a stream before the game, a stream at halftime, and a stream after. So when Sky go at halftime, come and watch before, and we'll do a bit of detail on the teams. And afterwards, we'll get the detailed match review. So 3 videos. Harry says, amazing again. Thanks, lad. Keep it up. I'm going to give him a bill. There we go. Hopefully, I didn't come too loudly through. Mally, have a great day. Thank you, Mally. Always on the channel. Brilliant. Andrew, who is a great watcher of the channel. Mitch Richards' long hair, long like this? Hopefully that won't slow him down. I think it'll take a bit more than that to slow old Mitro down, won't it? Cheat Code Mitro, great player. What do I think of Paul Lambert? God, that's a whole other podcast. Not convinced yet, William. Hit to the game says, Ben back in his element. There we go. Max, on his way to play for Wigan, says, love your work, Ben. Thank you. Well, kind of, yeah. My element would be in my lovely VW Passat, waffling through a notebook talking about a game. But I'm really enjoying this, and I must admit the connection with the subscribers is just wonderful. And all this info, and I hate to say it, now I say, what's the answer to this? And someone comes up with it within 2 seconds in the comments. Is just fantastic. Right. I am going to go from a run. Let's just quickly say another long-range fan there. Hi from Down Under. Love 12 p.m. or 7:30 games. Come and join the chat then for Fulham and Brentford. Enrico says, come on, Brentford. Get at least a point, please. I love how insecure and paranoid these Leeds fans have been. You're going to be fine. It doesn't matter what Fulham and Brentford are going to do. Yeah. Luke says Ben's predictions mean everything back to normal. Yeah, I think me getting predictions completely wrong, and in fact the opposite way around means back to normal. Tim Ream, have a look. That's all I'm going to say. I tell you who was a funny one was I was researching the Southampton game. They've got a midfielder called Smallbone, who I watched the video, completely clean shaven. Yeah, really short, like military issue haircut, and he comes on as a sub yesterday with a proper quiff and everything. He's got some good hair genes there. He won't be going bald. And that says, beers in 4 hours. All I would say is, in the words of the late, great meme Gene Okerlund, it's 5 o'clock somewhere in that. You can start now, can't you? Terrible. Mally says, paranoia is in our blood. Mally, I was at the Derby playoff semi-final, so I know full well what that insecure tension is like around these. Right, I've got to go for a run. I will be back, though, however, hopefully, having had a shower and not looking completely knackered. At 12:15 for the pre-match Brentford Fulham. Come and join us. A great afternoon championship stuff. Also, for all you Leeds fans, you're bloody everywhere, aren't you? We'll be doing Cardiff Leeds tomorrow. Quickly, Miss Leeds prediction: Cardiff 11-0. There we go. Rico says, we thought this last year, Ben. Come on. I'm not going through that again. Year 2 in the championship. Year 2 is always easier. Tim Ream looks like a caveman. On that note, that wonderful highbrow note on Tim Ream and Alexandra Mitrovic's hair down in Fulham, we will bid you farewell. Thank you for all your help in the predictions. If you're watching on delay, you've only got a few minutes left probably because we've gone for 46 minutes. Enjoy the day and come back. 3 videos, pre-Fulham Brentford, half-time and full-time review. And the same for Cardiff versus Leeds. And then no doubt we'll be back for the review. I don't know, there's so many games. Sunday night, Monday night. I'll publicise it. See you all soon. Thank you for watching. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for the support. Go over to Patreon and help out there. And I'll see you all in an hour's time for Fulham versus Brentford. Over and out.